Hello everybody, it is I, Whimsy, your favorite tarot reader named Whimsy, here to deliver today's reading for the week. And we're also going to talk a little bit about last night's meditation. I've been getting a lot of feedback from people. They're worried about the Mueller report. They're worried about the Mueller investigation. I have to say it's been really interesting to meditate on William Barr and the Mueller investigation. So we're going to go over everything today. I think we have enough time to cover everything. And then I also want to talk a little bit about Felicity Huffman, Lori Loughlin, and the college admissions scam, because I actually did a meditation on, someone asked me to do that. I did a meditation on that and Felicity Huffman came in. So it's going to be interesting. I'll tell you what she said and I'll let you be the judge. All right, so the first thing I want to do is talk about the Mueller investigation. What I saw is that William Barr wanted to be debriefed, and he is starting to be debriefed. He also is going to change the mandate for Robert Mueller. Prior to that, Robert Mueller's mandate had been quite large. And so what we're going to be seeing is that William Barr is going to make the mandate, Mueller's mandate, a lot smaller. And they're going to start breaking up the investigation and farming out the parts of the investigation to other departments, because William Barr feels that the investigation has gotten too large. The attention on the investigation has become too large. Attention on the FBI has been, and the Justice Department has been too intense. And by creating a smaller mandate for Mueller and having him just focus on one aspect of the investigation while the rest is farmed out to other departments is the direction that the Mueller investigation is headed. Now, when Mueller finally does put out his report, which might be at the end of April, it could be before the end of April, but I think possibly something will come out at the end of April. It's going to be a smaller report and it's going to be a smaller mandate than people had previously expected. So the way to control the extent of the Mueller investigation, the extent of what's going to be released in the report, you have to make the mandate smaller and farm everything out, and that way you can control how much information is released to the general public. So yes, people are going to be angry. Yes, people feel frustrated, because all you have to do is take the Mueller report and the large mandate, start farming everything out, give Mueller a much smaller area to focus on, and then publish a report like this where the other 90% has all been farmed out. That is kind of the energy I felt I was looking at. So Barr is getting debriefed, but the formal report will be smaller and will not include many areas which are still currently under investigation. Specifically, the report will focus on the Trump Tower meeting and Donald Trump's conversation on the plane with his son, which suggested witness tampering and obstruction of justice. So that was the main energy I got when I went into the report, that is what they're focusing on. So because that's all they're focusing on, or the main thing that they're focusing on, it's grounds for impeachment, but it doesn't suggest collusion with a foreign government, because the parameters of Mueller's report are going to be narrowed. So instead, he may be asked to just focus on that. Now, as far as the Republicans are concerned, it's a way for Donald Trump to resign or be impeached and be forced to be removed that actually makes him look like just a father trying to protect his son. So the best way to spin this from a Republican perspective to get Trump out is to have the report be focused on the Trump Tower meeting and to have Trump impeached for witness tampering with his son's testimony. That's grounds for impeachment, and it doesn't make him look too awful. The checks that were written to Michael Cohen, I don't know what extent that'll be part of the final report. I just keep going back to the Trump Tower meeting, Hope Hicks' testimony when she was before the grand jury, her private cooperation, and that's really the thing that they're narrowing on in terms of the final report. I think that the president will be removed. I've said that. He'll be either forced to resign or some other means. I think that they will remove him. I think that the Republican Party has changed. As I said, on January 24th, they were dead. They just didn't know it. The new party was born. And we're starting to see the breaking of the Congress from the president, and that's the chopping of the head of the beast. So it was his first veto. The president was forced to sign his first veto. I had thought they could go so far as to override the veto, but it didn't quite get that far. But they almost got 60 votes, which would have been an interesting threshold, and I think it was one senator changed his mind. But so that's what's going on there. The other bizarre thing that came up in the meditation is that if Trump is forced out, and it looks like he will be, the main reason why from the Republican perspective is they question the mental health of the president. I've said this before, that the Republicans are skeptical about the whole Russia thing, but they are really questioning whether or not the president is mentally well. And this goes back also to William Barr. I believe there was some kind of interactions that took place between William Barr and the president, and William Barr has begun to observe some of the bizarre, strange, or questionable activity firsthand from the president, and now William Barr is documenting those interactions with the president. So now he's got another person who's seeing questionable behavior, and it's now William Barr who's documenting things. Hello, Mila. And so the main reason that they are concerned more than anything else is, from the Republican perspective, is that they question the mental health of the president. All right, so the final thing that I saw is that they will begin to spread another conspiracy theory, the Trump base, and this conspiracy theory is that the deep state is headed by the Clintons. Can't even keep track of these. There are so many conspiracies. It's hard to keep track of them all. But in this conspiracy, they're saying that the Clintons are going to flex their power in D.C., and it's the power of the Clintons and the Clinton deep state that is responsible for Donald Trump being removed from Washington politics. So that is the scandal you're going to be hearing, or that's the conspiracy you're going to be hearing about. But really, why the Republicans are getting on board is, number one, they want to get reelected and they see the tide is turning. And number two, they question the mental health of the president. And number three, they're beginning to have ethical problems. I know it's hard to believe, but they're starting to have some ethical problems with this president. All right, so that is how I understand the Mueller report and the Mueller investigation and what is happening, and why people are so horrified, because they see Mueller's mandate getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and they see this investigation being chopped up, and that is why people are leaving or being reassigned. They're being reassigned and they're being given their own task to continue this investigation, while Mueller's focusing more on that core aspect of the report. Yeah, you could argue it's a type of cover-up, but that's what's going on. So I know people are going to get upset when they see this video, but that is how it looks to me. All right. The next thing that I meditated on was the college admissions scam. People had asked me to look into that. And Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin. I don't know these people because I don't watch TV, but I do know Felicity Huffman a little bit because I used to watch Desperate Housewives years ago when I was in medical school and I was bored doing my homework watching Desperate Housewives. But so when I did the meditation, the first person who showed up in the meditation was Felicity Huffman, and I asked her to, if she wanted to say anything, because we always ask permission, and she said that she's mortified. That she feels mortified, like, oh my God, what have I done? Like there's this feeling of complete horror just completely mortified by how far she took this. This is what she's claiming. And I also got the impression that her husband, William H. Macy, had warned her. He didn't know all the full details of what she was up to, but he had warned her about boundaries, overcompensating, and inappropriate behavior. So what I took from this meditation is that she got real personal. Felicity Huffman felt that she has a personality where she's a people pleaser. And she has some boundary issues also. So if somebody has a problem, Felicity Huffman always saw herself as the person that was going to take care of the problem. No, I'll host your baby shower. I'll host your bridal shower. She always wants to fix everything. So it's coming from a good place, wanting to help others, but this desperate need to fix things. It's almost like a codependent energy with Felicity Huffman. She's a little bit of a codependent. This desperate need to fix everything, and I can do this. It's such a deep-rooted issue with her that she often will overcompensate to the point where it becomes inappropriate, where she's crossing boundaries and she's engaging in questionable activity. And she's been like this for a very long time, and unfortunately, in this situation, she took it too far. She wanted to help, but she wanted to help to the point where she did considerable damage. She said that she knew the point when it had gotten out of control. So she also said that there were legitimate challenges that her daughter had. For example, her daughter does appear to have ADD or ADHD, trouble focusing, and she felt like asking for extra time because her daughter does have some legitimate problems with focusing, etc. There were legitimate concerns she had about her child, but the problem is that she knew the point at which she was breaking the law. It's one thing to fluff a resume, it's another thing to actually break the law. So she knew when she was entering that gray area, and her husband had warned her she was starting to get into an area, and she had assured him, no, I won't. So there was this dynamic has existed between her and her husband for a while. It's just who she is. She's always going a little too far, and this time she really did it. The other thing that she said is that she never really thought about the consequences. It never entered her mind that by cheating, honest, hardworking, decent students are competing against fake resumes, and you can never compete against a fake resume, because a fake resume is the kind of a resume that's virtually impossible for anybody to live up to. And so honest people who are busting their tuchuses can't get into these schools because they're competing against people who are bribing their kids into school, or lying and padding their resumes. So Felicity Huffman had never thought about that. She always thought about herself as a progressive and a liberal. She always supported programs, higher education for disadvantaged youth, and she literally had never connected the dots that by doing what she was doing, she was actually taking the seat of somebody else who was more deserving. So that's basically everything I got from Felicity Huffman. Being in this energy, does this look like some type of personality disorder? it's a little borderline. It's a little it's somebody with a serious issue of maybe codependency and a desperate need to fix things. And I think it's all going to be coming out in the next couple of months. I think she is going to talk about it. I think she is going to get on Oprah and talk about it and all those shows. And I think that she will look at it as an opportunity for spiritual growth. But she's in a lot of legal trouble, that's for sure. All right, so the last thing I wanted to do today, people had asked me if I would look at one candidate, and that's going to be Pete Buttigieg. I'll do that. But I want to do the week, what the coming week is going to be like first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll look at the candidate. All right, I'm excited. What's going to be for the coming week? I had said last week that starting May 11th, the energy is going to start getting heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier as more stuff starts to come out in DC. It just becomes thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. It's interesting, that I had said that I see Lindsey Graham as Beauty and the Beast, because that's kind of how I see Lindsey Graham interacting with this president. It's almost like Lindsey Graham likes bad boys, and Lindsey Graham is, Lindsey Graham has beautiful energy. I've been in his energy, but I think it's loyalty that's been misplaced. He's a mama. I think he has many beautiful aspects to his personality, but he's got some displaced loyalty. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and first see how the week is going to go, and then after we check how the week is going to go, we can go ahead and check Pete Buttigieg, and he's from Indiana, which is interesting to me. All right, but let's start with this. How will our week go? How will the week go? How will the week go? Will it be a good week? Will it be a sad week? Will the report come out this week? Will any more tidbits come out about Donald Trump? What's going on with the Republican Party? Will Biden announce his candidacy? So many things could be going on. All right, the base card is business. Business as usual. Trying to get back to business as usual. Also, we can see pushing up an inverted 9 of Wands. So it feels like finances, money this week, business as usual in DC. I really feel like the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are starting to work together in ways that they had not in the past. I talked about this nice energy moving in where there's trying to get some work done, and feeling like Trump is kind of preventing that from happening. He's antagonistic, he's provocative, he and his followers, and they're disruptive to the process. Coming out of a feeling of confinement or inability to do one's work, or feeling cornered by a situation or trapped by a situation, trying to get out of a situation where one really doesn't know how to get out of the situation. An inverted 9 of Wands with a Queen of Pentacles. It almost feels to me like a bailout. Where we're at right now, a feeling of stagnation, not going forward, inability to move. The law is coming in, or a judge, or some kind of decisions are being made in the coming weeks because of this feeling that projects are not happening, things are not moving, things are not happening. Multiple choices regarding... It's interesting, the first thing I see when I look at the energy coming up this week is a feeling like whatever was restricting DC, that this hold is breaking. This hold that Trump had on the country, it's kind of breaking apart. That's the best way I would describe it. You can see here you have an 8 of Swords inverted, a feeling of being trapped, tied down, even imprisoned, multiple choices. What's also interesting is that I always think of Queen of Wands as holding the staff. From a historical perspective, whoever held the staff, it was a symbol of being a chief or the leader. And so the Queen of Wands, she's really the leader of the tribe. She makes the decision. She's the judge. She's the perfect judge who holds the staff of authority and then wields it. And here it's kind of interesting. An inverted King of Wands is the opposite. It's an abuse of power. It's someone who wields the wand irresponsibly. Very similar to an inverted Emperor card. And so I feel like we're coming out of chaos and we're going into a state when reason and sanity and sound judgment is coming in. It's interesting because you can see here a base card also of the 9 of Wands. Restriction, coming out of a feeling of restriction or defensiveness. You can see here the King of Pentacles always showing up in these readings. A businessman trying to get out of a situation of that they feel trapped in. Poverty again comes up. Inverted 5 of Pentacles. Fertility around the situation. Abundance around the situation, but for whatever reason, the person, in this case, I think it's Donald Trump, feels like they are bankrupted, or they feel that they are not in any kind of financial control of a situation. More than likely, we're probably looking at the fact that they're opening up his books. I predict some interesting things are going to happen regarding this investigation into his finances. I think he's going to have to... I think the feds are going to seize a lot of his stuff. I think we could be looking at federal seizures of property going down the road, and I think that that's all going to be handled by different divisions of the FBI than Mueller. I really think his scope is being narrowed, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. The last thing I would say regarding this report, it just feels to me like there's going to be hearings going on a long, long time. There's going to be hearings going on a long, long time, a tremendous loss of money. Everything's going to come out in the open, and sanity is going to return. There's a couple of other things that I would say about this reading. It's a feeling like when Barr went in, he was stunned and shocked by how crazy things were. When I go into Barr's energy, it's a feeling like he can't believe it's as crazy as it is, and he didn't believe the rumors until he witnessed it himself. And also, President Trump has begun speaking to William Barr in ways that frighten William Barr to the point where he's having to document things. And I cannot stress enough how strongly I feel that the GOP believes this president is insane, and they're walking on eggshells. Many of them feel he's crazy, and they're walking on eggshells because they don't know how to deal with him and much of his base. But it seems to be crumbling as we speak, and it's going to be interesting to see how it falls apart in the coming weeks. But what really changed is that people should know that William Barr has witnessed behavior. He doesn't know about the collusion thing necessarily, but he's definitely seen evidence of mental decline. All right, so I want to just do a quick throw now on Pete Buttigieg. If I'm pronouncing that right. He's out of Indiana. Seems like a nice guy. Let's see how he does. I still feel that Eleanor, I call her Eleanor, what's her name? Elizabeth Warren. Reminds me of Eleanor Roosevelt. I think that we could see a resurgence of interest in Elizabeth Warren, and it's going to be interesting to see why I see that. But let's go ahead and check out Pete Buttigieg. What will be with Mr. Pete Buttigieg? Pete. So a lot of really cool candidates. Where he's at right now, he's still doing research. He's a very practical guy, very down to earth, slow, steady research. I like that nice energy coming in with Hermit. Shows somebody who's studious, thoughtful. Inverted Two of Pentacles might suggest trouble getting off the ground financially. This always comes up with these campaigns. Yeah, inverted Page of Pentacles. Lack of funding, trouble getting organized, slow beginnings. You can see an inverted Ace of Swords here, inverted King of Cups. He's a nice person. He is coming out of Indiana. He's a great lobbyist for a future candidate. I don't know, though, if what I'm seeing is him winning the presidency. You can see here an inverted Ace of Wands. Real hard trouble with this candidate getting off the ground, and he will probably throw in the towel fairly early, I would say. I'd be pleasantly surprised if that didn't happen, but the outcome is a Five of Swords walking away. You can see trouble getting off the ground. His candidacy has trouble going forward. Just a lack of organization. The size of the machine he would need in order to win the presidency, the funding, the organization, and resources don't at this time appear to be there. His karma and the work would have to change dramatically for Buttigieg to win the presidency. And so I just don't see it happening. He would be a great lobbyist, though. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for watching this quick video of Tarot with Whimsy. Be sure and share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and hope you'll continue to support the channel. Let me know what you want me to cover in the future. And if you're trying to get in for tarot readings, phone readings, absolutely, I would love to read for you. You can find the information below this video. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye. As you can see, Mila is completely entranced with her favorite TV show. This is Animal Kingdom in the rainforest of the Amazon. As you can see, she is a huge fan, watching various birds and wildlife, squirrels. She is their #1 fan. This is definitely her favorite video. You can see the bird is very active, munching on the food, and we have a rapt audience here. Yes, trying to figure out where the birds went.